This is gyro aiming, and this is FlickStick. It allows me to be much more precise, basically achieving mouse-like precision on a controller. The problem is that most games do not allow me to use that. So for the past 3 years, I've been using Steam to emulate a mouse using gyro. And that's weirdly relevant right now because the new Steam controller will work exactly like this. If you want to help me create new configurations for your future Steam controller, Steam Deck, DualSense, or whatever, please consider helping me on Patreon. This spooky month just went by and I didn't have the time to talk about the games that I played that month. So try not to shiver in fear because it will mess up with your aim. Returnal was the first game that I played this month. Everything about this game is fantastic. I really love this game. It feels so great to play that I feel like complimenting the game at every button press. It's insane how good this game controls. But there's one thing that pisses me off. Because this game feels so good to play, I feel the design and marketing around this game are a bit hypocritical. This game was released at the beginning of the PS5 lifecycle, so after Astro's Playroom, this was the game that showed what the DualSense could do. And it was one of the few times that the adaptive triggers were actually used for gameplay purposes, and not just gimmicky vibrations that everyone turns off after 5 minutes. In this game, you can equip different alternative shots for your weapons. On PS5, if you half press the left trigger, you will just aim down sights. And if you hold down the left trigger all the way, you will activate the alternative shot. So when this game came out on PC, I was really thinking, how will this game work without the DualSense? It felt like such an integral part of the game that I couldn't imagine being played without it. Turns out I didn't realize that they already planned for that. The L1 button didn't do anything on the PS5 version, if I'm not mistaken. That's how you can play the game with an Xbox controller, because this button is now bound to the alternative shot. But the point is, this game has a huge focus on the controller you're using. So why the fuck didn't this game came with gyro aiming always on just like Splatoon? Like, it makes no fucking sense. While playing the game, you will feel that this game is trying to use everything that the controller has to offer, and it just forgets the most impactful feature possible. To add salt to injury, this game is fairly difficult on PS5. But on PC, it's much easier because, you can actually aim. So the whole game was dragged down. The skill ceiling was decreased to accommodate a controller that can actually aim like a mouse. Like, what the fuck? And they doubled down on this, making their next game straight up auto aim for you. And they are still going to sell this game like it uses everything the controller can offer, while ignoring the one feature that could change the fundamentals of the game and create a much more fun skill ceiling. And it's not like this game isn't difficult, it pretty much is. But if you at least try to be like Splatoon and try to make people use this thing, they will realize that this is just a lot better. And if they don't, that's fine, they can just disable it in the menu. But no, they can't, because they didn't even add the fucking thing to the game. We complained that motion controls were gimmicky in the past, and now we are buying the same game again, just to have meaningless gimmicks, instead of adding the one gimmick that could actually improve the game. And now that I mentioned this, they even have a button that didn't do anything, so that could easily be like a gyro recenter button. It's so frustrating. This is a fantastic game that could have shown what the DualSense was capable of. And it didn't, but everyone acts like it did. Like, look at this. I've seen a lot of people who simply could not beat the first boss. They never seen the second biome of this game. And this is me beating the first boss on a fresh run. I just challenged the boss as soon as possible. I passed like 3 rooms and then I challenged the boss. And I won fairly easily, actually. So if you want to play this game with gyro, you will need to download a mod to disable a beep sound that happens every time you change inputs in this game. But other than that, this game works flawlessly with gyro aiming and FlickStick, because of course it does. Unfortunately, I had to sacrifice the DualSense exclusive features, but then again, that's why it makes me so mad that this game doesn't have gyro natively, because we could have the best of both worlds. We could have adaptive triggers and haptic feedback and gyro aiming. Anyway, that's enough about Returnal. Let's talk about the next game. Next, I played Dead Space. This was a very simple game to configure, and what a classic! The design of this game still holds up. I never played the original, so I have no nostalgia for it, but I was hooked from the get-go. I feel that this is the natural evolution of Resident Evil 4, in terms of controls, of course. The over-the-shoulder camera, the way enemies react to your shots, the way that you can only fire if you aim, the kick button, there are a lot of similarities, but it feels so much smoother here. And the level design, oh my god, it's so good. It keeps you filled with anticipation, waiting for something scary to happen. Like, this game actually spooked me. So I don't know if playing this game with Gyro would be that much easier, because I wasn't joking. Try not to shiver in fear, because it will mess up with your aim. Anyway, I know that there's a guy on the Gyro Gaming subreddit that beat the game with my configuration, so I know it's fully playable. And it's only active when you press the aim button, so I highly recommend it. But just a heads up, if you try to use my configuration, the default joystick sensitivity seems to be at 0%, and that's way too slow, so please feel free to increase that if you want. Playing Dead Space and Chrono's New Dawn back to back like that really hit me, because this game controls very similarly to Dead Space, but this time the setting is very different. One thing that I noticed that for most of the introduction of this game, there are no enemies, so when they finally appear, it's that much scarier. But as the game goes on, at least here in the beginning, there were a lot of walking, occasional gathering, and just a few encounters. I don't know if I wasn't as immersed while recording, but I feel like this isn't as exciting as other games in the genre, like Dead Space. Scarier than that, however, is the second instance that I've ever seen of camera sensitivities changing between two scales when using mixed inputs. What am I talking about? Well, if I use a mouse, the camera has one sensitivity. If I use a controller and then move the mouse, the game thinks we are using a controller, so it changes to the controller sensitivity, making the use of mixed inputs almost impossible. Like, I know that we gamers take absolutely everything for granted. We often forget what took us to get here. To get games that look this good, they are this compelling and non-obtuse, that play this great, that sound this great. But that's why I make these videos, because if you are developers, please, just don't do this. This makes my life so much harder. Since in this game you can only aim and shoot while pressing the aim button, Gyro is only active when doing just that, making it just as non-intrusive as Dead Space, which makes a really good option for beginners, for example. Though I have to be honest, I do miss having the ability to quickly turn around with FlickStick. I believe that not being able to do that increases the tension and scariness of the game. It reminds me of the slow turning speeds of old horror games, which just proves how versatile gyro aiming really is, because some developers may think, well, I don't want players to just pop heads left and right. I want them to struggle. So restricting their use of gyro aiming is just one of the ways of doing just that. And I think that's pretty cool. Ghostwire Tokyo was a pain in the ass to set up. It has mixed inputs, but for some ungodly reason, using gamepad and mouse inputs at the same time makes the mouse cursor appear. I spent more than 3 hours trying to figure out how to fix this, and my solution? Well, there isn't one. Emulating keyboard and mouse didn't seem to work, and no matter what I did, the cursor was there. Instead, I tried using Steam to always move the cursor to the edge of the screen. That way, the cursor would be out of sight. But while recording, I realized that wasn't really the case. So instead, I used Steam to always press a key on the keyboard. So the most harm that this cursor will do is just flash on the screen for a millisecond, making it mostly unnoticeable. But what about the game itself? Well, this is a semi-open world game, and I say semi because you can just go anywhere, because there is this deadly fog that will kill you if you go through. So your mission is to explore the city, free spirits, kill ghosts, and save your sister. And my god, the hand animations on this game are insane! They're so weirdly fluid. They look like frightening mechanical sausages. I haven't had the time to go that far into the game, but this game seems to have a lot of different abilities. Judging by how good the first few abilities feel, I bet that most of them feel just as good. Though I have to say, I'm not sure if headshots exist in this game, because sometimes enemies don't even have heads. Yuck. As a bonus, this game isn't scary at all, it's actually pretty funny, but in October I went to Brazil Game Show, one of the biggest gaming events here in Latin America. My friends and I love to complain about these events, but we secretly love them, like, we go every year. So there was a lot of cool stuff there. I even managed to see the PlayStation Orchestra. Yeah, the one that's being cancelled all around the world. But this time, I spent most of my time at the Indie Games Alley, talking to the creator of Brazilian Drug Dealer 3. I opened a portal to hell in the favela trying to revive Meet Aya and I need to close it. He was super friendly, eager to chat and take photos with everyone. So I asked him if he knew about gyro aiming, and then we spent the next 2 hours talking about it. He even made a video for our community. For those who don't know, this is a Quake clone, but set in Brazil with a lot of funny references to my country, like having a flip-flop as a weapon, or a local soda that shoots Brazilian flags. And like, this is still a good game even if you're not Brazilian. So I made a configuration for him, and I can't wait for you guys to try it out too. Also, he wants to port this game to consoles, and after yapping about gyro for 2 hours, he seems to be considering adding it, so that's a win in my book. And if you want to play any of these games with my configurations, the first link in the description goes to my gyro and FlickStick configuration collection. There you will find all of the instructions that you need to use all of these configurations. And if you like this video, you will probably like this one too, so thank you so much for watching. Shout out to my Patreons, Christopher Fox, Thana Oath, Easy, Ars Poetic, and Oryx Gazella.